Oh.
With 1.8 seconds, Charles Barkley. Overhead Williams. 1.9 left in regulation. Jab hit it.
Richardson up ahead. Look out. Hello, Amari Stoudemire elevates and detonates.
Oh, there we are.
Oh, I think we're live.
We are? How'd that happen? I didn't even click a button.
No, Jake put us live. But anyway, good morning, Suns fans. We're Planeteers. We are now live, Bruce. So why don't you take over the hosting job?
No worries. I didn't know that we were live, but what's up, everybody? How we doing? It's Bruce back again from Minnesota after the Phoenix Suns game that I went to see. That's why I was not here last week. I'm here with Kevin, and as you can see, Jake is not here, but apparently starting the show with behind the scenes. I don't know how that's happening, but Jake is going to try to get back here on the camera or show. So hopefully we'll see him at some point here, because I feel like these last couple of weeks, either I'm gone away on a vacation, Kev's got something with work, Jake's got something with work, Jake's got the computer acting up. We haven't been all together in what it feels like a little while now. So
Yeah.
hopefully that we can get all together. But Suns went 1-1 this week. As we all know, they won the game versus the Timberwolves on Monday to start the week. A good dominating win with no Devin Booker, no Jalen Green, no Isaiah Livers, as they took on a Timberwolves team that was on a 5-game win streak and was healthy as well. And then they had their obvious disappointing outcome, which happened at the end of the week, where they took on the Oklahoma City Thunder, and we'll get to that when we get to that. But I want to talk about the positives, talk about the good things, because obviously the Timberwolves game was a great one. I was obviously there, so it was good to be at my first Suns game, and I had an article come out for Brightside. I don't know if it came out yet, but I wrote one for Brightside on my experience at the game. Yeah, it is actually live now, so you want to check that out, definitely check that out, because it was a great experience and I wrote about it. But Kevin, what were your thoughts and takeaways from this Timberwolves Suns game?
Yes. So first of all, we know that we tweeted out that a very special guest was supposed to be on today, and unfortunately he canceled. So we'll look forward to have him probably next week or the next. But yeah, going back to that Wolves game, I pretty much don't remember anything anymore, because it has been a while, and Suns haven't played in like how many days already. So it had been pretty while now. But yeah, based on what I can recall, the Suns just what was the final score in that game?
It was 108-105 Suns. They were
Yeah.
I can give you a little bit of a refresh. They were dominating pretty early on versus the Timberwolves team. Both teams kind of struggled from 3-point range in this game. Timberwolves 11 for 42, Suns 12 for 33. So Suns shooting around 36% as a team. Timberwolves shooting 26% here. Close in the rebound category as well. Obviously, the Suns kind of pulled away late here in the end with some clutch shots from Colin Gillespie and stuff like that. Timberwolves did lose, obviously, Rudy Gobert in this game, as he had that little bit of a check on Mark Williams when he was in the air. So that was a big loss for the Timberwolves in their front court and for their defense in this game, and especially in the second half because of that. Anthony Edwards had 40 for the Wolves. And then for the Suns, Mark Williams, 22, Dylan Brooks, 18, hitting some tough turnaround jumpers, Colin Gillespie, 19, Oso Ighodaro, 10, Jordan Goodwin hit some big shots. Those were the main takeaways.
Okay, all right. There's kind of a lag there. I'm not sure if that was me or you were just really silent. But yeah, I now remember. Okay, yeah. So this is a great game for us. As you mentioned, Dylan Brooks with 18, and Mark Williams actually had 22 on this one with 7 rebounds. So it was a great game. And this is where you can really see the Mark Williams effect. And of course, let's talk about um, the rumors that's been swirling around about Sabonis. And I am not willing to trade him for that guy.
Oh, you're talking about the latest rumors?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, and we could get into that whole discussion in a little bit, Kev, because I think that that's a discussion that could get around Sun space, but I don't think is really necessary to get around Sun space because of their similarities in their play style, and I think Williams is a little bit better and on the defensive end there as well. But like you mentioned, he played really solid in this game. I tweeted out while I was at the game that he was a big difference maker for this Suns team on the offensive glass, and helping out with the rebounding, especially early on versus this Wolves
Yeah.
squad. And especially when they have guys like Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert, Naz Reid, prominent front court players in this Minnesota team. It was very nice to see a guy like Mark Williams did that. I also recall that he hit his first career three-pointer in this game. So that was cool to see as well, right early on in the third quarter. And I mean, the Target Center was quiet. They had some times where their fans were kind of getting into it when the Timberwolves are coming back a little bit later in the game to make some noise when the Suns were struggling in the third and the fourth quarter there. But once again, Colin Gillespie had a big game. My guy that you guys were talking about last week. I watched the podcast back. You guys were talking about obviously how he's that hustle guy. He's kind of that untapped gem that came through with the Suns last year, and he's still rising to that potential. I believe he had 12 or 13 points of his 19 in the fourth quarter. So once again, ice in his veins, hitting some late game shots, taking some big control of this offense with guys like Booker and Green out is just crazy to see, especially for a guy that's making, $2-3 million on a veteran contract this year in the NBA. I love to see that for my guy in Colin Gillespie, as he's been doing really great. And then, like we mentioned, Dylan Brooks, 18 points, Royce O'Neal, 11 points. Brooks was hitting some tough mid-ranges. I was talking to my brother. I know there have been some stats tweeted about this, but he is absolutely insane from the mid-range. His three-point shot can be a little uh uh high or
Suspect.
low depending on the game, a little bit streaky, but his turnaround mid-range, he gets to that spot, he feels comfortable regardless if he's got a guy on him. He's taking that opportunity, and a majority of the time he was making it in those games, and a lot of the Timberwolves fans were just like, damn, how the hell is Dylan Brooks keep making these tough shots just back and back? And I was just like telling my brother, I was just like, yeah, he just makes the mid-ranges, and then he'll take the three, and I'm like, there, see, there he misses.
It's like Devin Booker. Hitting some tough shots, and then when it comes to the three, it's just clunkers. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, it was exactly just like that. But it was wild to see Dylan Brooks go and kind of take control, take this game for the Suns, for take the reins for the Suns here in this game for a little bit. And overall, the arena was pretty cool as well. I have to say, the being someone from the Northeast, I don't know how sporting events go over on in the Philippines, Kevin, but when you're in the Northeast, or specifically in Boston, if you're wearing the opposing jersey, even if you're from the area, you're going to get some looks, right? You're going to get some taunts like, oh, what is this guy wearing? Or if your team is losing and they see you, they might be like, oh, look at the scoreboard or something like that, like some little taunts, some little jabs. But I didn't get any of that while I was in Minnesota. And as we start talking about it, oh, there he is.
Nope,
There
nope,
is
nope,
Jake.
nope.
He is here, glitching back in and glitching out. He is in the stream, but I got no
Hey,
looks.
East Coast trash, why don't you stay out of the Midwest? You don't belong.
I didn't get any of that. I didn't get any of that. I got no looks. Oh, actually, that's a lie. I did get some looks, but nobody said anything. Everybody was super nice. Besides the lady that obviously was like, "Yeah, you can't sit here," because I was trying to move up in my seats, and she said I had to have a wristband to sit in that section, which that doesn't happen at TD Garden. I can tell you that. But overall, great atmosphere, great
We're too
stadium.
polite to actually throw hands to try and get to a closer seat, so we just rely on security to enforce things and be like, "Excuse me, that's actually my seat."
I did see. I have to ask you a question, Jake. I did see a hot dog while I was there that had some weird toppings on this hot dog. There was like Dijonnaise mustard and some like peppers and stuff. What kind of hot dog are they selling at the Timberwolves game?
I mean, it could be a Chicago dog, but obviously you would think that would be much more Chicago focused. I like how you're like Dijonnaise, like you've never heard of this stuff.
I'll be honest with you, a Dijonnaise I've never heard of until I walked into that stadium.
So we're into some freaky spice in the Midwest. Everyone doesn't think we have a palate, and then we bring you Bostonians in, and they're just like, what flavor? No, well, and tell us a little bit about you ran into Suns Worldwide, and he stared you down, was it?
No, I ran into Suns Worldwide, and I was walking out of the stadium, and I said Suns Worldwide, and then a bunch of people like looked around because they were like, "Who is this Suns fan trying to talk to another Suns fan?"
They probably thought you were talking Suns Worldwide.
Yeah, they're like, what is this guy doing? But he was wearing his
Suns Worldwide. There we go. throw up the signs.
He was wearing his shirt that he made, that's how I recognized him. Also, for the fact that, like I said to you guys, I'm 5'9", 5'10" on a good day. He was a lot taller than me, so it was like I was talking to a skyscraper. Where it was a pretty easy spot to find. But I got to talk to him. I walked up to him. It was nice. He had his drive back to Iowa, to your home state, so he had a 3-hour drive on the way home. But he made the trip out there, had a good time, and unfortunately got the ruling of the Dylan Brooks injury out on the game previous, but I think maybe kind of made up for it on his replies on the Twitter. Who knows? For his early prediction.
Well, I'll be honest. I mean, I can't speak for all of the state of Minnesota and all the Timberwolves fans, but I just get the feeling that the reason why you may have received any looks at all is you said you were dressed in a Suns jersey, right?
Yeah, I had a Suns hat, my Suns Chris Paul jersey on, and my Suns Jordans that are 15 years old that fell apart on the trip. So I can't be wearing those anymore.
So my guess is probably more that they were looking at you like, why would somebody in Arizona fly all the way here for a Minnesota game when there's snow, and blizzards going on outside? What kind of psycho fan are you? That's probably what they were thinking, as opposed to anything else. And then they're probably like, why doesn't he just eat the hot dog that's put in front of him?
I'm looking up the Target Center food right now so I can find this hot dog, because me and my brother walked by it and we're like, what is this hot dog? What's new?
I would guess it's a Chicago dog, but I guess it could be something their own take.
Oh, here it is. It was the French onion hot dog. That's what it was.
Okay. I don't know about
that. I want to see if I could like pull up
like a French onion soup, but on a hot dog.
I think so.
That's weird.
Thank you. I was like, what is this?
I'm guessing they're not like the Suns hot dogs for $2 a piece,
No,
probably a little bit more generic.
Yeah, not with like soup and stuff. Not
just with in Bruce hates creativity. Just play your game, man. Quit trying to get creative with the ball. And that's for hot dogs. Just give it to me plain.
I will say the one thing about Minnesota that I have to give credit is when I got French fries, they were very crispy. And that was something that in New England, they're like, we went to Chick-fil-A at the airport and their French fries were like 10 times like crispier and harder than like sometimes you can get like a soggy Chick-fil-A fry in Massachusetts. That was not something you were going to get in Minnesota. And at US Bank Stadium, they had these little like crisp things. It was like a French fry, but it was like more like in the shape of like a chip. It was pretty good.
Yeah, like shoestring potatoes, like that. Like just little crispies, like little.
Yeah, it was like more like it looked like a dollop kind of.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So and they had some like good chicken at the stadiums too. Okay. And they had like some like garlic aioli sauce or something.
So basically, the Minnesota
garlic,
Timberwolves
garlic,
playing a very
garlic,
gourmet.
like a garlic ranch. No, no, this was just like a Minnesota thing. Like their sauce was like a ranch aioli or something. Maybe that's just a Midwest thing. I also had Culver's for the first time. Culver's was absolutely
Culver's
amazing.
is an important staple in the Midwest.
Culver's was amazing. I have to say that.
Yeah, it's really it's one of the few fast food burger joints and that you can get, and most people I would say often do. They skip the fries and go for the cheese curds upgrade.
See, I'm not a big cheese curds guy, so that's
Oh.
where that's where
Well, I don't like your fish, Mr. Boston Harbor. Take your old fishing industry and go. Culver's is out of Wisconsin, where there's all the dairy cows and the cheese making skill set. So, hence the popularity of the butter burger and the cheese curds that go along with it.
Oh yeah,
along with the custard, not to be confused with ice cream, because we don't play with that.
Someone's got to go to Target Center, go to section 237 for us, and let me know what it says on that French onion hot dog on the sign, because I can't. I'm on the Timberwolves website. It just won't let me click and figure it out. It's like, come to us to come try this hot dog. But
see, that's how they get people to come back to the arena. they put such wild things out there so that you feel like you got to go back to see if you actually didn't just have a fever dream.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, they did have a walking taco. That looked good. I won't lie.
Walking tacos are solid. Kevin, are you familiar with the walking taco?
No, I'm just familiar with tacos, but not walking tacos. Yeah.
Well,
Walking
if you take a bag of
good.
Fritos, which is the corn chip classic, and you basically scoop taco meat into it and then sprinkle cheese and lettuce, tomatoes, salsa, and then you put it in the bag and kind of crunch it up with the chips inside, and then you could just spoon out the deconstructed taco, and that's why they call it a walking taco.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
That's easier to eat than like a
Then a French onion soup hot dog. Yeah.
Yeah. Come on.
Oh my god.
I'm glad our friends over in the UK are able to check in on us, because at this point in the show, they're probably like, you know what? Our food might actually be better than somebody else's. But, yeah. So this was your first road game, Bruce, and I don't know. I heard you guys talking a little bit about the breakdown and the reasons for the win, but overall takeaways from the experience.
I will definitely be back, even though it is cold, even though
for the hot dogs.
Windy. Not for the hot dogs, but I definitely will be back. I mean, Target Center to me reminded me a lot of, I feel like a lot of basketball arenas are kind of the same, just like a circle concourse, but it reminded me a little bit of TD Garden, just like in the way it was set up, just a little bit smaller. I really liked it. It was cold, obviously. There were times where I was freezing, had to bundle up my coat, but I actually liked the city. It was actually pretty nice. It wasn't too much craziness going on. I feel like the Mall of America was cool. The US Bank Stadium was cool. Target Center was cool. The game itself was awesome. And like, I liked the area, the atmosphere. I'd like to maybe next time I'm there, after I get some more practice over in New England, maybe get some skis, try to go skiing, something like that while I'm down there. But yeah, overall, it was a great trip, and I think the Suns winning definitely capped that trip off to the next top of sphere, because getting to see those guys win without Devin Booker was really, really cool to see. Before the game, I had kind of thought that they weren't going to win this game the whole day, kind of watching and preparing for the game. So basically to see them even outdo my odds of, even though I'm one of the most optimistic people, I was very happy to see that.
Well, and it can always ruin a road trip, a game where it's like, oh, hey, wow, there's so many cool things to do and see in this community. Oh, my favorite team just lost, though, and I'm kind of now bummed for the rest of the trip.
That was my brother.
At that high level of excitement.
That was my brother. He went 0-2 on the trip, so unfortunately the trip was for him, and he didn't get to see any of his teams win. But he was still happy to be there and enjoying all the benefits as he got to skip school and go on a trip to Minnesota. So it was all worth it.
Well, one thing I wanted to highlight just real quick is that, and I know I shared this in our chat, but was just the Timberwolves. like looking at the box score, it clearly doesn't explain what took place with this Suns team that is so injury bitten right now, but still able to put together very quality play. That if I was going to tell you that Anthony Edwards shot 15 of 21, Julius Randle 7 of 11, and Rudy Gobert 7 of 9, you guys would, and that's all the information I gave you. You guys would probably say, "Oh, so tough night for the Suns." I'm guessing it ends in a loss. But then Dante DiVincenzo shoots 1 of 7, Jalen McDaniels 1 of 7, Naz Reid 2 of 12, Michael Conley 0 of 5. They couldn't get a basket from anyone else. It was, hey, we will let a few of your guys go off, and then obviously Rudy had to step out of the game early. And while not obviously a dominating offensive player, he can be very efficient in what they ask him to do. I think it's just an impressive quality win, again, without Devin Booker, without so much of what we generally need to be competitive. And we were able to just, snag another win against a very good team. Kevin, I mean, I feel like we talk about this every week, but exciting to watch.
Yes, we are. We're not supposed to beat the Timberwolves in this game, but we did. But the expectation was just beat the team that you're supposed to beat, right? And if you beat the teams that you're not supposed to beat, good. So it's kind of just like related to the expectations that we had in this season and why we're feeling this way.
Well, and let me ask, and I apologize, everyone, because if oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No. Okay, there's a significant delay, and I apologize. I had to restart my computer like right when the show was starting, and clear the, I don't know, I'm not a techie, but clear the cache, get things up and running again. And I think Kevin had to restart his as well. So Bruce is the only one that came ready to play. He's the Dylan Brooks of this team. He just fights night in, night out. And Kevin and I are more like the Jalen Green, Devin Booker. Hey, we're good, but only when we want to play during that night. No, we've talked a little bit about this, and Bruce, I'll ask you to explain it. But I mean, the general narrative was Suns. They should be happy if they could be a play-in team, but otherwise they will be taking a step back this season. If anything, it looks like we've taken a step forward, and now, I mean, I don't think you're wrong. Are we a top 6 team in the West? We're playing like we could be one. Obviously, anything can happen over the rest of the season, but the mindset has certainly shifted.
Yeah, it definitely has. I know going into the season, I thought they were more like a 12 seed, just wanting to temper my expectations, not get too high. But like you mentioned, I feel like the biggest addition to this team has been the subtraction of the other things that have been kind of causing the mayhem for the Suns team. And we can actually now see them develop and get young stars and see what that looks like. So that's why I'm kind of in the boat of not trading for these stars. Kevin and I kind of talked about it earlier, but like there should be no rush for Sabonis. There should be no rush for any other big name. There should be no rush for anything like that. The Suns should be keeping their course and sticking what they're doing right now because it's working, and they're finding these guys that are stepping up in these big moments. Guys like Mark Williams, who you're the founder of his fan club, has really risen and taken a stand this year. Colin Gillespie, who I'm a big fan of, has taken a big rise and stand this year, and these guys are going to be key integral pieces not only for this year but for next year's to come, for this future, for this identity, for this culture, and where the Suns want to shift. So trying to invest in those guys should be the key, and not trying to kind of get rid of that. I do think they're probably at best a top 6 seed. I do think, though, with how the West has shaken up, they're most likely a guaranteed top 8 seed, which would say, hey, the Suns made the playoffs, which, dating back to what you guys said last week, that should be the goal because they don't have their first round pick. So they should be winning. They should be competing. They should be wanting to be a top tier team in the West to try to make some noise. And I think we're kind of seeing that this year with the heart of hustle of some of these kind of players like a Colin Gillespie, like a Mark Williams, who want to prove things this year to kind of stand out because they do need these contracts, but also a young head coach in Jordan Ott who wants to stand out so that he can make a name for himself as well. And he's been doing great leading that team. So I don't know. I feel like this year the ingredients are there for the team to all be hungry and want it together, and they're playing all together with that camaraderie that we haven't seen in this Suns team these past couple of years, which is something that we love to see. And I know that's something we mentioned in the chat is just like they're actually playing like a team. They're out there hustling like a team, wanting to win as a team, not as individuals, which is just a clear 180 from what we saw these last couple of years.
And it's wild, Kevin. I mean, I don't think the blame can rest on any one individual, but let's address the most likely culprits: Kevin Durant, Coach Bud, and if King Nacho is listening, I'll go ahead and say Bradley Beal. But here's the thing with Beal that I'll mention: was his contract terrible, and was he playing below it? Absolutely, but I don't think he had that much influence over what was actually taking place in last season. So we see Coach Bud is gone. We see KD's gone. KD's thriving in Houston for sure. Bradley is out for the season as he likes to be. No, that's too harsh. As he sometimes is. And Coach Bud is enjoying his payments somewhere out there. But kind of what Bruce said, I mean, it's just hustle. It's trying to win as a team and build this new culture. Are we seeing? I mean, was it Coach Bud's fault? How would you divvy up the blame of like, we just have a team that wants to win, and we seem to be more successful, even though they might arguably, they have less talent than the superstar loaded squad had. I guess you could say that the sum of the parts is stronger than the individuals in this case. But I mean, where would you put the blame in terms of why couldn't we play like this last year?
Bud.
Yeah.
I think I would go now that he's not the GM anymore. I would go James Jones.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, James Jones had assembled this team with a big three, where we know that the big three wouldn't work anymore. I mean, we did not know then, but of course the constructs of the new CBA, of course, really lessens the possibility of creating this super team that the Warriors had, or the Miami Heat had. So I think if I talked about this as well in the pod with Matt, Shooters Lounge, check that out. That they were a little bit late on that model, and unlike the Warriors, who were able to sign like quality free agents or in a mid-level exception players, the Suns couldn't just do that. Like get a quality role player with a big three in their roster. So I think I'm blaming James Jones on that.
No, it's interesting. I do want to touch on Bud a little bit because, I mean, obviously we look at the new fan favorite of the Valley, and we always get somebody new each year. And that's Colin Gillespie. And he was on the team last year. And Coach Bud was like, I don't want to have to play you, which led me to believe that, yes, he's just a guy that tries hard, but he does not have much of a ceiling to him. It's pretty low. And now we're sitting here thinking, okay, how are we going to clear enough cap room to make sure we sign this guy for a good long time? So I think it's interesting that Bud, and I would say the coaching staff in general, did not seem to get that much out of the team. And I don't know, KD has done so well in Houston that I can't sit here and say, well, it's KD's fault. But I could also see the coaching staff just saying, hey, Bradley, Kevin, Bradley, we need you to play like Drew Holiday. Kevin, we need you to do this. And then them saying, no, we're not going to do that. And then that trickles down to where I think that this team with Coach Ott, with the and the coaching staff, that they're saying, hey, Dylan Brooks, we need you to go shoot more than you've ever shot in your life. Okay, I can do that. Colin Gillespie, we want you to take off and go to the next level. So I feel like our player development and the coaching. So I'm siding with you on this, Bruce, but I'm throwing it out as like a total package of the coaching staff that that they're somehow able to communicate to these guys, and maybe it's something just along the lines of, Green being injured, Brooks. Kind of a star. I mean, he's not really what you'd think of as a star. But Booker, I don't think was ever probably the type that's like, no, I'm not going to try hard. But it gets kind of infectious when you see these guys working their butts off to make plays and be successful. And I think that, that this coaching staff has found a way to get the right players in, which touches on what you were getting at, Kevin, but then get the most out of them. And I feel like that's the biggest difference so far this season.
Yeah, it's mainly the fact that Jordan Ott is a first-time head coach and understands the growing of the game and the differences from coaching a team in Cleveland that was just the number 1 seed last year, working with Evan Mobley. He knows all these working of having a fast-paced offense. He's worked with Kenny Atkinson in the past, another good head coach who's obviously on Cleveland, but also was on the Nets and stuff like that. Mike Budenholzer, Frank Vogel, Monty Williams to some degree were all stuck in their own old ways of the NBA and how they were going to coach from back in the day. And that's what got them fired. That's what got them put in these situations. That's what got them in these troubling things where Budenholzer said, run the random offense, because back in Milwaukee, he could just tell Giannis, run the random offense, and Giannis would go, okay, and just take the ball, drive, and lay up, and that was easy. That's how easy Mike Budenholzer's job was. Let's not forget that Budenholzer was almost fired the year that the Bucks won the finals versus the Suns, and if the Bucks did not beat the Suns in the finals, he would have been fired that season. That goes to show you that Budenholzer just didn't know what he was doing, was not a good head coach, and was just basically going to do that over here, and that's what he did. Kevin, go stand in the corner, get 20 shots a game. Booker, go stand and do this. Beal, you can go be Drew Holiday, I guess. I don't really necessarily know. Was Booker supposed to be Chris Middleton and KD supposed to be Giannis? Who knows? But in Budenholzer's mind, everybody was supposed to be something. Ryan Dunn didn't play. Colin Gillespie barely played. A guy like Jordan Ott is going to look at this roster and not see, oh, you make $80 million, you have to be a bona fide starter, because he's going to see a guy like Jamari Bouye who says, hey, we're going to take you on your 2-way contract, and we have no Jalen Green, we have no Devin Booker, we need offense, we're going to use you, and our 2-way player is going out there shooting the best from 3-point range. At the Timberwolves game, Jamari Bouye from 3, guy behind me, who the hell is that? Straight from his mouth. That's what we have with the Suns, and that's what I love to see, is these untapped potential guys, these risers, and that's what you're going to get with this new front office. A guy like Brian Gregory, who's focused in player development, he's going to buy into that, but also with this new head coaching staff with Jordan Ott. So yeah, for me, I think it was just the coaching staff was stuck in their old ways, and with the Suns having a new head coaching staff with some guys who have seen teams like the Pacers, the Thunder, the Cavs have success with this faster pace, players utilizing both working on offense and defense. I think that's where the Suns are kind of getting this new rhythm and hype from with their players.
Well, on that note, Kevin, Bruce, go stand in the corner real quick. Let's run a chaos.
What's the name of that nightclub of yours again?
You talking about the Boom Boom Room?
Yeah, the Boom Boom Room. That's it.
And we still got to get an update for that Boom Room. And I totally messed it up. I said, let's run chaos. No, let's run random. And just play random in there. Well, let's talk about, we had that very quality win where we were shorthanded over the Minnesota Timberwolves, followed by the NBA Cup game against the Oklahoma City Thunder. And did we come close? We did not. Unless you want to say in the first half, I guess we had the lead late in the second quarter by, 5-8 points. And I thought, oh my gosh, are we going to shock the world And I didn't necessarily start thinking we were going to win, but I thought we'd cover because they had the Suns like minus like 14 points. And I'm
15.
like, oh no, this team fights way too hard. And we ended up losing 138 to 89. I blame the refs in this game. Throwing out Grayson Allen, Chet Holmgren, you're soft. Get off my court. But also, should we just all? Excuse me. The Thunder were minus 15.5. So they were 15-point favorites. 15 point favorites. That's right. Okay. Is it? Should we just all switch our bets to the Thunder now to be on the safe side? Because this team looks absolutely unstoppable. I don't know. They've lost one game this year that was to the Trailblazers, which I think gave everyone else just a smidgen of hope because they're like, well, we're not as bad as the Trailblazers. But Bruce, can anyone stop the Thunder? Or do you think that they're going to steal the Warriors' best record ever?
I think they're going to steal the Warriors' greatest record ever, but like the Golden State Warriors stole the greatest record ever, they didn't win the chip, and that's still something I could see the Thunder not pulling away, just due to the fact that who knows what's going to happen with the Denver Nuggets or the Houston Rockets. The Denver Nuggets were one game away from making the finals last year, but I would say that if there was any team I would put my money on, it would be the Oklahoma City Thunder at this point. They're just really dominant, just taking control of everything here, clearly putting the Suns on a kind of disaster class, beating them by almost 50 points in this latest game, even though the last contest they were in a 4-point game. Obviously, no Booker, no Green, a little bit of a different level of team that the Thunder are playing on that Suns squad. But to what we said since the beginning of the season is, regardless if the Suns make the playoffs or not, they're not beating this Thunder team in a playoff series. So even if they end up as an 8 seed, it'd still be fun maybe to get one game versus this team, but we all know what the outcome is going to be. So unfortunately for Suns fans going into this game, I kind of figured this was going to happen. Didn't think it would be a 50-point loss, but expected a loss, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, and Kevin, let me break this down for you real quick. So, I think a lot of the if you're just an NBA Twitter or an NBA fan and you get it all information from Twitter, I think you would think that SGA is just a free throw merchant and that he's always begging for calls and always getting them. He had 3 free throw attempts. Yeah, but he had 3 free throw attempts this game. And the Thunder had 13. We actually had 16 shots from the charity stripe. So we had more attempts, but they shot 59.1% overall, 55% from 3, and they shot over 92% from the charity stripe. This is a team that just plays, they're not just a dominating offensive unit. They also are the best defensive unit, and we're not. You're used to hearing, oh, this team's top 10 in offense, top 10 in defense. This is like number one, just about. I might be off on their offensive rating, but I remember their defensive rating was the tops, and they just it's next level. So I mean, Kevin, how do you? I haven't seen all the Marvel superhero movies, but do they ever beat the guy with all the gems in his hand and he snaps his fingers and makes them all disappear?
They did, but it took 2 movies.
Okay, so it might take a couple of years.
So it might take a couple of years. Yeah, that's a nice analogy, if you would think. But yeah, I think that the Thunder is just really unstoppable right now. I don't think anyone can beat them. I don't think they're ever going to lose again, if you ask me, bearing injuries.
I think the only way it happens is the second game of a back-to-back on the road type deal. I mean, granted, I'm trying to just flush this game because again we had injuries as we always do. Liver's still out with what is happening with this man. He has a hip like a bruised hip.
So he has a hip injury, but the reason why the Suns are being so careful with him is because last year or 2 years ago when he was on the Pistons, he played and got a hip injury. And then last year he was out all of last year with a hip injury. So this hip has been like his de facto kryptonite. So similar to like Mark Williams with
Booker's
the beginning
groin.
of the season. I guess Booker and his groin, they're being careful about it. So I feel like they're just being, since he's a two-way guy, he doesn't necessarily need to play. And since it is his, injury of weakness that has held him out of the league, I feel like they're just being extra cautious just because it worked with Mark Williams. It's kind of worked with Jalen Green so far. We don't know. We'll see when he gets back. So I think that's kind of their MO.
Okay. Yeah, we were led by Dylan Brooks. He took 16 shots.
He had a poor game.
Yeah, he was 4 of 16 for 25%. We shot 39% overall, 32% from three. But we had more turnovers than they did, 20 to their 14. So if we're turning the ball over more, and if we can't come close to knocking down as many shots, then it's just not going to work out well. The starters were pulled because obviously the lead was running away. But I did want to talk about the Grayson Allen flagrant foul 2 screen that I don't know. I appreciated the interviews afterwards to kind of help clarify it. And people pointed this out that Chet Holmgren just smoked Grayson Allen from behind like the play before, and nothing was called. Now, of course, everyone knows you're not supposed to react because it's always the reaction, the subsequent play after that you decide to take a swing at somebody, that always gets called. But I'll be honest, it was a screen. It was a hard screen. And as Grayson said, he should have been called for the foul, but he does not understand why it was a flagrant foul 2. Neither do I. And I was a little surprised to hear Williams, Jalen Williams, right, of the Thunder, say, well, this is who Grayson Allen is. This is his reputation. I'm like, actually, since he's been to Phoenix, his reputation is super clean, and he's not considered a dirty player really, and hasn't been since he came to Phoenix. And because remember, we always thought he was going to be this real kind of nasty player, and no, he hasn't been. He's actually played pretty clean. So I don't know. What was your gut, since this game was just so awful to have to sit through? Let's just talk about that one play real quick. What did you guys think of the screen set route in the world?
I think J-Dub's just pushing a narrative that doesn't know. But yeah, ever since Grayson came to Phoenix, I mean, he's a pretty good, clean player. He's not doing stuff that he did in college and early as an NBA
he's not
career.
Tripping people running past him. Yeah.
Right. So it's just, I think, Jalen Williams just adding fuel to the fire there. But it shouldn't have escalated that way. And J-Dub actually reacted to that play as well during the scuffle. But no, that's not a flagrant 2. It's just a hard screen.
Well, and I think Grayson even said, had that scuffle and the players not all met up and started sharing words after that screen, he doesn't think it gets escalated to a flagrant foul 2. He thought it was more like trying to get the teams to cool off. But Bruce, I can tell you're teed up. You're ready to go. Just tell us what happened there.
To be honest, I feel like you guys have said, Grayson hasn't been bad in Phoenix, so I feel like it was just similar to what Kevin said and Jalen Williams, just kind of pushing that narrative. And just once again, Grayson Allen is the villain. The Suns are just full of villains. They got Dylan Brooks, he's the villain. They got Villain Jr. and Colin Gillespie. Now they got Grayson Allen, the big bad wolf over here, just disrupting things and getting into stuff, causing havoc. Debo, as you will. Maybe that's why his nickname's Debo.
He got on his Debo.
Yeah, exactly. Jalen Williams really legitimately thought he was Debo from Friday, coming to steal his chain after that, talking about it, because god damn. I never knew Grayson Allen was such a fearful mind across the NBA, but I don't know. I feel like it was kind of just escalated out of control. I feel like it wasn't really necessary. I mean, we saw the Suns get a flagrant, or we saw the Suns on the receiving end of the flagrant 2 foul in the previous game with Rudy Gobert kind of hip checking Mark Williams. I thought that was a more clear, obvious flagrant foul than what Grayson Allen was doing with Chet Holmgren. So it was just a little confusing for me. But once again, I believe at this point the Suns were already down 40 or 30 at some point. So it's kind of just
fall apart. for sure.
It's kind of just like, all right, well, the game's basically over. The young guys got their extra bonus stub, right? Like Jamari Bouye and Colin Gillespie, they got their stipend of like an extra couple $100,000. They're happy. For Devin Booker and those guys, they just get some extra rest and get to take on the Lakers on Sunday, which is a great reward for getting smoked by 50, is playing LeBron and Luka because Austin Reeves is hurt.
Yeah. The only thing I can think that why that screen, and this is the last I'll say on it, is that Grayson Allen, and again, these are just numbers I'm pulling off of in front of me, so it's not like I've got a scale that he stepped on last night. He is 6'3", 198 pounds. Chet Holmgren is 7'1", 208 pounds. So his center of gravity is off compared to Grayson Allen, who's just a compact 200-pound, 6'3" man, and you have a 7'1" guy. Of course, he's going to be all wobbly when you just have one guy sit there and hit a screen. But I think this whole idea about that there was a wind-up, and I'm like, a wind-up in a screen? Like, yes, his arms ended up extending, but I think that was more like the impact of a 7'1" guy hitting somebody at an awkward motion. But Grayson Allen, I'm with you. I think they just wanted to punish the man for no good reason. Yeah, so the Suns officially will not be winning the NBA Cup this year. It's a bummer. I saw Darth Voida of Suns Pride Side was like, I think he's over the NBA Cup at this point. Personally, I still wanted to win the NBA Cup. Call me locked in for the NBA Cup, but I also wasn't a fan of the play-in tournament when that first came out. I'm like, no, these teams don't deserve a chance to do that. That's not fair to the 7th and 8th seed who fought there. That the 9th and 10th get a chance to upset them. But now I'm open to it. I think it's fine, and I think that function of the league is working well as also. But I don't know. Where do you guys stand on the NBA Cup? I mean, obviously the Thunder are going to win it because the Thunder are going to win until they stop winning. But are you guys over the NBA Cup?
I like it. I'm not the biggest hater in the entire world. I think it's something fun. I think that maybe it should be a little bit later into I feel like it should be a little bit later into the season, or maybe just like continuous, because I don't like how it's like, all right, we got NBA Cup on, what was it, Tuesday and Wednesday, but then Thursday and Friday are going to be regular games. But no, the Cup's back on Saturday. Make sure to tune back in for the Cup on Saturday. Like, how's the actual casual going to remember this? I don't actually know how that's going to keep up.
Would
with
it be
things.
more fun, do you think, if the championship for the NBA Cup was on Christmas and that was the Christmas, or is it just more exciting to watch a ton of NBA games on Christmas?
I think it's more fun to watch a ton.
Okay.
Personally, but that's just me. I think the Cup, that could be like a little spectacle, is like putting it on Christmas, just like give it more emphasis, I guess, for the whole like camaraderie of the tournament. But like, I feel like if you just did like 2 weeks of the Cup, it could also give that camaraderie as well.
Yeah. Or maybe even something to tie it to, I don't know, New Year's or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like New Year's Day, most people aren't working on that day, and you can give them something to look forward to. Well, I was going to turn it back to Kevin, but he just dropped for a second. But so let's take a look at our upcoming schedule, and then I did want to ask you another question because you wrote an article recently, Bruce. Actually, so yeah, let's touch on that real quick. So you wrote an article for Brightside of the Sun, guesstimating who you think is going to be on the trade block, or not on the trade block, who is possible to be traded, and you said Devin Booker is staying here. He is not being traded at all, so no worries there. But I will say this: I did have some internal dialogue with myself. You do not think Nigel Hayes-Davis is going anywhere, huh?
Well, see, this is the thing with Nigel Hayes-Davis, and
I don't think anyone wants that sweet minimum contract for the guy that's just not doing much.
That's the thing. I think if that it's the fact that the Suns also don't have the draft capital to move off of him, because I feel like if the Suns were to trade Nigel Hayes-Davis, this is no slight to Nigel Hayes-Davis, because in the article, he does a lot of things that don't show up on the stat sheet, but on the stat sheet, he's not really a resemblant big guy. And with Royce being there, with Rasheer Fleming being there might be no really point for a guy like NHD to really be staying, unless he's a good locker room guy, unless they really like that presence, unless he's like that just overall good type of player that they want. But if they are looking to, maybe make an upgrade or just add, or because they have Fleming, they don't really need NHD, they could move off of him. The only problem is they don't have the capital to attach to move off of him, and I don't see a team wanting his veteran minimum contract. Therefore, I think it's more of just he's going to be on the team to the end of the year, and then probably, I believe he's a restricted free agent, so he'd just go into free agency, and then the Suns would not give him a contract. Maybe they would again if they want to keep him, but at this point, it doesn't seem like he is, because he was a big part of the rotation early on in the season, but now has seemingly fallen out completely. But he's I believe he was the one of the 4 people that I thought that could have got traded.
Yeah, I will agree with you. I do think Royce O'Neal's contract is going to be the most interesting. So I always seem to forget that Royce O'Neal and Grayson are basically locked in through the 2027-2028 season. Grayson has a player option for almost $19.5 million. Royce is on a standard contract, but 11.6, I believe is what he's looking at. I don't think either guy is looking to go make more money than what's being offered there. And Royce, Grayson, as you mentioned, is a little high for this salary cap era that has taken a lot of fun out of things. I feel like I am still not a fan of this structure of the salary cap that has made it more difficult to pay players. I think really, and I've mentioned this before back when we were obviously so top heavy with our big 3, but I feel like it's gutted the middle class of the NBA, because you still have the guys that you have to give a max contract to, but then you have other guys that's like, all right, you get a minimum, or you get $5 million. And that's how you get like a Jordan Goodwin on a minimum contract, or a Colin Gillespie on a minimum contract. And who I would think, in years past would be looking at $5, $6, $8, $9 million a year. But yeah, I think you said Nick Richards and was it Royce are the most likely, or not most likely players to watch, I think was the term.
Yeah, those were the 2 that I had my eye kind of really on. Nick Richards, just because he hasn't really played much in this rotation, and when he has played, when Mark Williams has been out on back-to-backs, or regardless of why he's been able to be playing, he hasn't really been virtually much effective. And for the Suns, with them having 3 bigs, even if Malawach is just a G leaguer at this point, it doesn't really make sense to have Nick Richards on this roster. So I do think them, even if it's for second-round picks or just whatever, or maybe another minimum contract, looking to trade him for something like that could be on the possible. And then similar with Royce, it's just I know that him and Grayson are the same length of contract, but with him being around $6 million cheaper for 2 more years, and I think himself being a little bit older as that veteran, it makes him a little bit more of a fitter for a team. I also think that Phoenix just has a lot of attachment to Grayson Allen and his what he brings for the team. I think the Suns fans really like him, but I also think the Suns front office and himself he likes Phoenix a lot. So I think that relationship's a little bit of a tougher one to break comparative to a Royce O'Neal. But yeah, I could see Royce going, I could see Richards going, and for Brightside, I will have other articles coming out with actual players and stuff. I know Rod Argent, who works for the site, was commenting on the post, letting me know some things about the first apron and the trades. So I will be having some trades that I make regarding some of those players that I wrote about from the article, but I'll have to figure out, obviously, who I can acquire so that it's not more headaches being caused for the Suns when they make
Well, and yeah, I'll be surprised. The only thing that would surprise me is if Nick Richards is still on this team after the trade deadline. I think I could totally see Grayson and Royce and going into the offseason, and I can see the Suns just keeping them on the books.
I can see them keeping them too.
Because obviously we're getting a lot of value out of both of them. They're both shooting well. Royce maybe slowed down a little bit on his defensive play, but I mean, for the most part, they're still playing at a very strong level. And I think perhaps, especially on Grayson's contract, it's a little overvalued compared to the rest of the league. But we're still getting very quality things that I don't think selling cheap on these guys and shipping them out for, late protected first round picks or something like that is really going to, adjust anything. I'd rather have quality games and steal some games like we did to the Timberwolves and left them with their sad French onion hot dogs. So I would take that. I'd rather keep some of this villain energy going, even though it's going to be from Big Meal O'Neal and Debo helping out the other two villains. Yeah. So King Nacho, welcome in. Kevin actually had to step away. He had a little kiddo was making it a little difficult to podcast. And we've got to check in on next week's slate of games. Oh, well, and I apologize if anyone saw on Twitter that we had a special guest. Said special guest had to message us at 5 a.m. this morning saying he got called into work. So we're going to see. That was the second time this season that he. We were hoping to have him stop by, and then something came up that either he forgot about or did not originally plan on. So we'll have to try again on that one. So the special guests are us, and it was my bad computer, and then Kevin having to leave early. So really, it's again, Bruce, you are the Dylan Brooks of this podcast. But looking ahead before we record again, the game against the LA Lakers is tomorrow, 7:00. And hey, look, it's not on Peacock, so that's good. So I should be able to catch that in its entirety. And then we face the Golden State Warriors in Phoenix, and then we'll record, and then we play the Golden State Warriors again, but in Golden State in San Fran. So just the games for next week before we record, though. LA, that game's going to be in Phoenix, and so the Warriors game in Phoenix. So 2 home games, plenty of time for rest. And I don't know, Bruce, what are you hearing on this injury report? Booker was supposedly almost back for the Thunder game.
Yeah, I did see that Booker was almost back for the Thunder game. He did go through shoot around. I know that Dwayne Rankin, who has been on a majority of this because he is one of the reporters that travels with the team, he reported that Booker on the game versus the Timberwolves went through shoot around, but obviously was just like practicing. He did the full shoot around the other day. Yesterday in practice, Jordan Ott said that he was able to do everything in practice. So it's looking like Booker will be brought back from his groin injury. Unfortunately, I did not get to see him play. I got to see him clap and cheer on the bench, but did not get to see him play. But he'll be back, I think, ready to take revenge. Austin Reeves is out for the Lakers for a little bit of a week. I did see that injury come into play. LeBron's been here, there, and everywhere, playing, not playing, so we'll get to see versus that. I'm excited to see Devin Booker, though, come back, and then hopefully, in 2-3 more weeks, we can get Jalen Green back after this new year starts, and we can finally start.
You think it's going to be next year at this point?
I feel like this time it's got to be at the end of this year, because the injury happened when? In November?
It feels like forever.
That's what I'm saying,
yeah.
Right? I'm gonna see if
because we have 2.5 more weeks, basically, till the end of the year.
Yeah, he was out. Oh, Jalen Green on November 9th. He was expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks.
A little over a month, yeah.
So a little over a month. He has been gone. So it's been a month and 5 days. So on December 10th, he was in OKC. He was training with his hamstring injury. So we'll see. We'll see when he's back. I would say probably another 2 weeks at least. So
yeah.
Maybe he comes back before the new year, like just before, but if not, probably after.
We do have the game at Cleveland. You know what? I'm going to go with you here because I'm looking at the forecast. We play at New Orleans. That's the 26th and 27th. Then we continue our road trip to Washington. And then on New Year's Eve, we play in Cleveland. Then when January kicks off, we will play back home in Sacramento on the 2nd. I could see them just saying, hey, you know what? Instead of trying to fire you up on the road, let's wait till we can give you a nice, more comfortable game, perhaps at home against the Kings after another night of rest. That way it's not trying to get it going on a 4-game road trip to close out the year.
Yeah, I think him going up against the at that point probably 9-25 Sacramento Kings. I think he'll be pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. Although now that I look at the forecast too, that right for the Kings we go Thunder, Rockets, Grizzlies, Knicks. So I don't know. Maybe just whenever you feel ready, Jalen. Whenever you feel you just jump right in and you start running alongside of us. But we can't wait to see what you can do when you get back. That's for sure. Well, all right. We can go ahead and move to close. Bruce, where can the folks find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Bruce Velez, at this name right here. You can also find me at Bright Side of the Sun, where I do articles on the Phoenix Suns. Like Jake said and I talked about, I had an article drop yesterday on the likelihood of every Suns player being traded. And then this morning, had an article drop about my trip to the Suns game that we talked about in this podcast. I have yes, I hate creative, delicious hot dogs with Dijonnaise and French onion soup and cheese and this and that. I don't want any of that.
I love that you, instead of saying Dijon, you're just Dijonnaise. You want to say the whole thing, the whole thing out there.
Yeah. Because I never heard of it. I've only heard of Dijon mustard and mayonnaise. I've never heard of a combination where you put the two together and you put it on the hot dog. So the Midwesterners got their stuff, but what do you call it? You could check me on Brightside where I wrote about. I didn't write about the hot dog, unfortunately, but I did have clips. Comparing, like your soup article, comparing every Phoenix Suns to a hot dog to a hot dog. That'd be awesome. But check out that article. I'll have more stuff coming through the weeks. Like I said, some more trade articles, some more analytic stuff with the Suns playing these next couple games. And then, you can find me on YouTube as well at Swish City, where I talk about the NBA. Been a little lackluster there, but we'll be getting back on that soon. But overall, mainly Sun stuff.
All right. Well, you can follow me at Fallen Founder on the Twitter sphere. And we didn't even do predictions.
Warriors and Lakers 2-0. They're going to be able to beat both teams. The Lakers have some injuries, and the Warriors are a little bit close to the Suns. I don't think they've played.
13-13 right now.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think they've played the Suns this year. I think this is the one team in the division that the Suns have. Oh no, I lied. They did play them, and they lost on the road.
118-107.
Yep, that was the game on the road. Yeah, I did remember that. That was a blowout game that they made close and kind of came back into, but it was a little bit earlier when they were going through the turmoil without Jalen Green. I'll still say 2-0. The Warriors have been struggling. The Lakers have some injuries. I'll give some optimism for the Suns. And I mean, hey, if they get 2 wins, I do believe they're 6th or 7th right now. Maybe they can get back into those conversations. So with the Timberwolves, and hey, we saw how they did with them on Monday. I feel like versus the Timberwolves, if they're in a close battle, maybe they can pass them. The Timberwolves have struggled against the good teams.
Well, and you mentioned that Jalen Green's injury was official November 9th, was it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So we last played the Warriors on the 4th. Then we had the Jalen Green game and then the Jalen Green quarter leading to wins over the Clippers. So after these Warrior games, is that the cure? Maybe Jalen Green back up by against the Lakers on the 23rd. But I'm with you. I'm saying 2-0. I think we're going to start getting some folks back. And the way this team's been playing, you really can't count them out of anything unless they're playing the Thunder. Then maybe you got to count them out until you show us something else. But with that, we'll see you guys next week for our, like I said, it'll be our Christmas episode. So we'll have to think of something to make a little special. But until then, see you next time, Planeteers. Thanks for stopping by.
Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, stay with us as the Suns get set to shine here on their home court.
Here's Perry. Cigar Hurd. Here's the jump shot. Good. It's good.
Al McCoy with you courtside. Pumped up a 3.
Suzanne. He ties it. A.D.A. Al and Tim up here.
Happy birthday.
Right. Yeah.
I know it's the ball, but happy birthday, baby.
Here's Cameron Payne out on top. Durant, 3-pointer straight away.
Suzanne. I just want to take this opportunity to thank everyone in this arena this afternoon, to all of those that are watching and listening on radio and TV, a thank you for allowing me to tell the story of the Suns for 51 great years. That pretty much wraps things up here. And for one last time, this is Al McCoy saying thanks for being there. Thanks for being with us tonight. And from the Footprint Center here in downtown Phoenix, we'll just say so long for now.